What's good, everyone? It's your boy Natsu with another video for the channel. Welcome back to DMB Sports Zone. And I apologize for the wait here, but you know who we have on. We have Corey from On the Warpath once again, and it seems like our boy Ed Oliver always says, it seems like whenever we're both on a stream, magic happens. So hopefully that happens again tonight. And obviously, we have a lot to talk about with regards to our Wassa football team. And I know Corey has he'll talk about this potentially throughout the stream. He has a video coming out basically reacting to the news, which will be a little bit more fiery than what he's gonna show here on the stream. But Corey, thank you so much for taking the time out of your evening to join us tonight. And yeah, I think a lot of people already know about you, but if you want to plug your channels right now, that would be great.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm not going to get in trouble this time because I had some recourse the last time when you introduced me. But Corey from On the Warpath, Sanchez 405 on all social media platforms. And Nati, as always, man, I appreciate you having me on. And like I told you before, I tell you all the time, if you ever need me, I'm here for you. And we make it happen. And like you said, when any of us get together in this YouTube world, like you said, Ed Oliver says magic happens, but we all get together. It seems like it's magic between our fraternity of Washington football team YouTubers.
Agreed. And for those of you who are on this stream wondering, hey, where's Rio? If you guys didn't see, last minute change, it was rescheduled. The stream will be rescheduled for Tuesday night, so make sure to check it then. But yeah, we have Corey on tonight, and again, should be another fun one. Maybe not so much content-wise, but it will be another fun one with both of us on here. I do want to shout out some people who already joined, Uria and AM Hunter. Yep. You read the name here. We're gonna talk about it. And the first thing that I do want to talk about, though, with regards to our DMV sports teams, I know a lot of people might not want to talk about the Nats for the entirety of the stream. I want to just get that out of the way first and foremost. What do you make of the Nats' current streak? More specifically, Kyle Schwarber. I think he had 16 home runs out of 18 games recently. Didn't have one last night, which was shocker. But what do you make of his streak? Potentially being an MVP contender for this team, and also this team potentially repeating their 2019 magic.
What were they, like 13-3 since he said, calm down, this is a good team, stick with us. And I mean, it's a running. It seems like it's a joke because I can't get the games down here where I live at. So every time the CBS Sports app, best app, not plugging anything, but I think it's the best app for updates. It's like home run. It's like Nationals game started. Kyle Schwarber goes long. I mean, it's awesome, man. It's fun. Davey Martinez, this just goes to the credit to show you what type of manager Davey Martinez is. You know, they found the fountain of youth with John Lester. He's finally getting himself together. Patrick Corbin has been playing pretty well off the mound to get you in situations to win now. He's not the best, but he's been better than he has been. And I think Paulo Espino, where the heck is he come from? Excuse my French, but it just makes you say.
It seems like Rizzo always gets these guys. There's two types of guys that he always gets. One, when they're on the scrap heap, right, and like another organization just says, you know, forget him, like, you know, have him pretty much. And then there's the other type of player where it's like just comes out of nowhere, like a young stud. And yeah, but I agree with you.
Oh man, and then I mean, you think about you think of course, you know, Juan Soto is still there, and Trey Turner is a third cycle of his career, which is tied for the most in MLB history. And for our fans that don't know what a cycle is, you get a single, a double, a triple, and a home run. And he did that. Unfortunately, I think he did jam his finger real bad. So I think thank goodness there's a rain. Probably this game will get rained out tonight against the Dodgers, and you're going to need that coming up here for that 4-game set against the Dodgers. So yeah, but I have a guest star here right now. So
as always, yeah. Now, how excited are you though for this next 4-game stretch with the Dodgers? July 4th ball, Dodgers versus Nats. I mean, always seems to be fun.
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, I had a chance to talk to Olivia Garvey yesterday, who is a big Dodgers fan. Dad played for the Dodgers for about 10 seasons and won the World Series in '81. I think that this is the best you get because these are the two defending champions last 2 years. And you know, pandemic ring, you know, so I don't really can't. We're still the true champions, either way you want to put it. But I'm excited for this. It didn't go well out there in LA earlier on in the season. You know, they're coming out of COVID and everything. So you know, they've got some decent talent out there. They've got some decent pitchers and everything. But I think they are right now. What are they, like second out there in the NL West, or
On
third?
the Padres, right?
Yeah. Oh, so they might be third then, because
I'm sorry, the Giants.
Giants. Yeah. So there is the Giants, them, and the Padres, I believe. So yeah, man, I'm excited to see this 4-game series to test the metal against these guys coming up here. But you know, you got, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best, and you've got them, and then you go out west. I don't even think there's a break in between. I think they leave Monday, and they're in, and then they're playing in San Francisco that the next night. So
tough stretch.
Yeah, it is,
but,
man.
I think this team can get through it. I do want to shout out some other people as well who just joined AM Hunter. Juan Gotti. What's up, bro?
What's up,
bats
Juan?
have been hot. The bullpen can continue to stay hot. We can make the playoffs. I think we all agree on that point. I do wonder though, with Steven Strasburg being out recently, potentially even Mike Rizzo talked about him as a potential trade. Deadline ad for the Washington Nationals. Do you think potentially once he comes back, it could put the team over the top?
I think so. I mean, the one thing about Strauss that we got to realize is that he comes up big in big moments when you need him, especially when you think about the playoff game. You think about the one game against the Brewers, right? Where he came in there and played this first time he ever pitched relief, got him to that point. And then you talk about in the World Series, right? Played through two great, good games to get you in a position to be able to win, one facing elimination. So I think that Strauss, if healthy now, the problem with him is if you look at him the wrong way, he's on the DL for 3 months. So that's the only thing. You know, I heard he snapped a fingernail or something, and he might be, and he's calling that like tendonitis or something, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I love you,
shout out Protech right here. I do want to shout out Protech right here. Corey been killing it with Watch Football Team interviews. As we said earlier, as Corey brought up earlier, had an amazing interview with Olivia Garvey, and you guys should make sure to check it out via the link in the description. Very good, and he, of course, we talked about this off camera. Definitely, there was a Dodgers dig in there, you know.
Oh, I don't know. I have no idea what you're talking about, Nati. I don't know what you're. We played the game. It was word association, and I just had things written out. It just happened to be Joe Kelly. I think Howard Kendrick, Grand Slam, NLDS, 2019 Game 5. I asked her. I just said, "What the first thing that comes to mind when you think about that?"
Yeah. And keep in mind, this is the daughter of a Dodgers great. So keep that in mind.
I'm trifling. Y'all know this. Like, it's not like y'all shouldn't be surprised. You should not be surprised that I did that to ask that to somebody. Petty. I'm petty, not trifling. Petty. There we go.
Yeah. So I was gonna shift over to the Wizards, but since you mentioned trifling, I want to talk about this top 5 list that I put out last night on Ed Oliver's stream, I believe, and you almost instantly commented saying that it was trifling. Corey, you know, since you're on the channel now, we got to talk about it. Top 5 Boston football team players. As if you guys don't already know, the people in the chat, my top 5 players were Brandon Sheriff, Chase Young, Terry McLaurin, Montez Sweat, Jonathan Allen. Corey seems to have a problem with it. Go ahead, Corey, and
I don't. Look, this is America, Nati. I don't have a problem with your opinions, no matter how wrong they are. I don't have a problem with that. But the fact that you put 75, who misses more games than my dad missed my birthday. So growing up,
no.
I think just that has concerns for me. I ain't gonna buy my dad. Well, God rest his soul. I wasn't gonna buy him number one dad shirts because he wasn't there. Daddy wasn't there, like they say in Austin Powers. So you're all pro. Is this your king? This is your king. This is what you're willing to die on. Huh, T'Challa? No. That's what you're getting ready to do?
I literally said in the chat a couple of minutes after you said that it was tripling that Chase Young will be the number one player by the end of the 2021 season.
He is the number one player.
No, he's not. Why do people think that? Just because he was defensive rookie of the year, 7.5 sacks, he's not there yet. He will be by the end of the season. Yes.
No.
He is not our best player right now. You cannot tell me watching the film last year that he was the entire season. Sure, towards the end of the season, he definitely improved.
Nati, he's not your best player.
Not right now. Not on July 1st, 2021. Yes. I don't understand what people like. Why do people disagree with that statement? First of all, for a rookie, obviously, for a player who just finished a rookie season, Brandon Sheriff, by the way, Wangati.
Go ahead.
For a player who just finished his rookie season, obviously he's a great player, right? He isn't just an ordinary player. He's a generational talent. Like I said, by the end of 2021 season, he will be our number one player.
Mm-hmm.
You cannot tell me he's the number one player on this WASP football team.
You can't tell me Brandon Sheriff is the number one.
Why not? He's an all-pro. He's an all-pro. He's been a Pro Bowler for how many years now? He's shown consistency when it comes to his play on the field.
Not to you, brother.
I tell you this. Corey,
go ahead.
I tell you this all the time. Look at this offensive line when Brandon Sheriff is not in the lineup. Look at how drastically it gets worse.
Okay.
It is absolutely putrid when he's not in the lineup.
They
can't run the ball. They can't pass protect.
Okay. You look at them games. No, you're good. This is your show. But we like you got Black Skip and Black Shannon on here, and now we're going to Skip. I don't know at this point, but you Skip. You're Skip.
No.
No, see, this is what when I think about Chase Young, right? I think about this defensive line was pretty much the same coming from last year, even though you switched the system up, right? Nobody back in 2019 commanded a triple team, let alone a double team. Come on now. Think about that. Ask that question. He has transformed this defense into a threat. Just by changing two things, really. He got Jeremy Reeves to look good. Mm-hmm. Jeremy Reeves came out of nowhere. DeShazer Everett, who's been on the team with special teams, so he helped solidify that defensive line right there. He's better than your boy Bostic, right? But he helped transform this defense into a power. Transformational. He was transformational, bro. Like that's the one, and that to me is number one. Is the effect that you have on there. And I tell you this all the time. What do I tell you about? You got to be healthy. The game that he missed, if I'm not mistaken, Washington gave up like 30-some points in that game. And then I think also, I think Woody got hurt in that, he was hurt in that Cleveland game, correct? Missed the Baltimore game, right? If that's what I'm saying.
Yes. Yeah.
So defense looked piss poor that game, right? Mm-hmm. But they didn't even look too competitive until Robert Griffin III got in there and they picked the interception off. That's what I'm saying about Chase Young being my number one. Now, I get what you're saying. Brandon Sheriff, and for all the hate I give Brandon Sheriff, hold on. Let's go. Hold on. Let's get the specs out here because you talk about me being all blaspheming and everything. I got to find. I got so many papers here, Core's got
while
2.
You do that.
Oh, go ahead. I think Corey had Brandon Sheriff at 2, if we're not mistaken. So, okay, yeah. Corey had Brandon Sheriff at 2. Y'all can roll the tape back on that too. Okay, for all that hating I gave him, that you consider hating is that I consider a critique. Oh God, constructive criticism, man.
Yeah. And for all the constructive I don't know what you want to call it, for all the talk that I just spewed out about Chase Young, I have him as number 2. So I mean, we could say, my point here though, with the injury pass and all that, didn't Chase miss one less game last year than Brandon Sheriff, if I'm not mistaken, 1 or 2 games less?
Missed one game.
So I don't think. Okay, I mean,
he missed one game.
And Chase, if we're gonna be honest, at the beginning of the season, Chase Young was not as good as he was towards the end of the season. I think that's a fair statement to make as well, right? In my opinion, Brandon Sheriff showed all pro level play from the beginning of the season to the end of the season. So my point here is that Chase Young, yes, while I agree with you, did transform the defense, did have talent on that defense already. Brandon Sheriff has been doing his thing on that offensive line for the last 5-6 years with who else besides him? Trent Williams, right? For a couple of years, and then the last 2 years without Trent Williams, and the offensive line has been no worse than middle of the pack.
Here you go. I'm gonna give you a call. I'm gonna give you a hot take, and this is just gonna make you kick you out. You're gonna kick me
don't bring up Moses. Don't bring up Morgan Moses.
Yeah, Morgan Moses. Maybe Morgan Moses made him. Maybe Morgan Moses made him look good. Huh?
Oh no. The guy who had to wait weeks to get signed by the New York Jets. Yeah, Morgan Moses. No disrespect.
No, I would agree. I would say this. My thing is his greatness is just as valuable as his liability. That's what about Brandon Sheriff. That's why I have a problem with him.
Are we talking about 2020 or are we talking about years past? Because Brandon Sheriff is relatively healthy.
I'm talking about the whole body of work with one Brandon Sheriff. That's what I talk about. Because I do take that when I look at this, I take that into consideration. And now if I may be looking at last season, right? Let's see. If we're looking at last season, he very well could have been 3rd or 4th. To me, Brandon Sheriff could have been. Because one was the best side of the ball last year.
The defense.
Right. So in my eyes, if it's the best side of the ball, if you got the best side of the ball is defense, for most of the majority, my common sense thinking is that defense players should be it. That's it. And there was, and you can't put anybody else up against Chase Young that's going to be like maybe Terry McLaurin. And Terry McLaurin would get it because the dude's just straight up beast, especially with them bad. Okay, and that's another correction I got to make. Not the bad legs, the bad ankles. So it is what it is, though.
Yeah,
I don't.
I'll say this. I definitely think that Terry has a legitimate argument for being like the best player on this team right now. I think he arguably has been the most consistent over the last 2 years out of anyone. Obviously, Chase Young just played 1 year, but like Terry McLaurin, I mean, he had a great rookie season and followed that up with a great second year, right? When a lot of receivers tend to have that sophomore slump, and he didn't, and he performed really well. We saw what he did in that Cowboys game when Jalen Smith caught that interception and he ran him down. Everybody talks about the DK Metcalf rundown of Buda Baker, but Terry McLaurin, in my opinion, had an even better one. And he is my favorite player. But at this point, again, if we're talking July 1st, 2021, I'm taking the All-Pro right guard. And I know you say, he backed into being an All-Pro.
He did.
Yada, yada, yada.
He did.
He's still an All-Pro right guard. Our first All-Pro player since 1996, and that guy was a punter. I'm taking him right now over Chase Young. Right now. Okay. If you ask me maybe at the midpoint of the season, I might go with Young. But I don't think right now, based off of what we saw last year, Chase Young is the best player on this team.
Yeah, and I went to an Ivy League school. So, went to an Ivy League school for a week at a conference. I stayed there. But I'm going to say I went to an Ivy League school.
Can't win with Corey, man.
Shout out to Dartmouth. Go Mean Green, go Big Green, my alma mater for a week in July. So, man, look, I am convicted on this because maybe if they had re-signed him and not put him on the second Kirk Cousins,
they still gave him 18 mil.
Yeah, I know. I ain't paying no $20 million for no often injured all pro guard that backed up into it, man. So that's just how I feel about that. That's like, obviously that's how I feel because I was saying it, but I just, that's why I look at it when I look at Brandon Sheriff, because one, he was a top 5 pick, right? Two, he just, and he's getting old. He's getting older. He's older. He's getting that 30 range. So,
but Corey, guards, especially interior offensive linemen, can play until their mid 30s. I don't think
Alan Faneca. Yeah, Alan Faneca. We've seen DeCastro, Randy Thomas. We had here Pete Kendall back in the day. Yeah,
the center from Yonda, right? I don't know if you mentioned
Marshall
Yonda from the Ravens.
Yeah, a lot of these guys. No, I get that, and I'm just saying, like, when I say age in the injury, that's what I'm talking. That's what more I'm talking about. But
that's fair.
Yeah. So we'll never win this battle. You and I will never win this battle. We will never agree on this.
Especially after our heated discussions about Brandon Sheriff or Morgan Moses throughout the 2020 season. I don't think we'll win this. But
you want here. I will tell you this. I'm going to tell you this right here. Y'all heard it here on DMV Sports Zone. You were right. You were right. Who's on the roster? Who's on the roster? Who's not on the roster? You're right. Moses. You're right.
And they went so far to franchise tag Brandon Sheriff, giving him $18 million instead of allowing Morgan Moses to stay on the roster for one more year, being paid $7 million. So I think, that just adds to.
Yeah, I'm sick to my stomach now just by saying that. But but you win, sir. You were right. I'm a big man. I can say when I'm wrong.
Appreciate that. I will say though, one of your points was more versatile, and I kind of see where you're coming from with that because Morgan Moses did play left tackle. Brandon Sheriff played left tackle in training camp, I believe, and just they instantly moved into right guard. I was right tackle, then right guard. Yeah, position flex.
Position flex. Somebody needs to make that into a shirt. I would buy a position flex shirt. But people probably look at me down here and they look at the crazy like, what is this position flex he speaks of? But no, somebody needs to. I need to call the people at Breaking T and be like, make a position flex. I'm gonna message them on Twitter, and we need to make that happen, man.
It might work. It might work. Yeah. I will say that with Brandon Sheriff, though, I do want to get to A.M. Hunter's point here, just moving forward, because I think we're on the same page and agreeing that Brandon Sheriff will likely not be a member of the Washington football team beyond the 2021 season. So I want to get your take on the guard situation here in DC and if the offensive line as a whole can withstand the loss of Brandon Sheriff moving forward.
Oh, yeah, I think they can withstand it. I think that you've got young and people. Oh, gosh, I say this all the time. The coaching staff that they have to get these guys ready. You've got John Matsko. I've talked about Pete Hainer with Logan Thomas, but you've got Travell Wharton as well, who's played in the league as your assistant offensive line coach. I think if he can get Ishmael, we'll get to see him in preseason. Thank goodness. Sadizik, if he can play, I just need Sadizik to play a drive. That's all. Like just to say if he's healthy, or he might win the Brandon Sheriff top player of the year award if he can only play, 3 plays or something. But I think that the guard situation is good, man. And if Brandon Sheriff were to go down, I'm not concerned like I was now. God, that Wes Martin, Chimney Christmas, man.
I thought we had something.
Yeah, we thought we had something. The only thing is, we got a dog catcher. That's all it is. What does him and his mama rescues dogs, so and he's catching dogs, and he looks like roadkill, like legitimately. Like there was abuse by him. Aaron Donald, I think they still have PG County still has warrants out for domestic disturbances on Aaron Donald because of what he did to Wes Martin.
Yeah. I will say that I think Flowers was a good pickup, good guy we brought in via trade.
Mm-hmm.
Charles, don't know what we have in him. I mean, there's all this talk about him being the starting left guard of the future. I mean, even before the Cosme pick, potentially being the starting left tackle of the future here in Washington. But we don't know what we have out of him. I think we got 2 or 3 snaps, or was it 1? I don't even know. It was
two.
a very
it was 2.
Yeah, 2 snaps out of Sadiq Charles, so we can't really say too much about him at this point. I do like Wes Schweitzer. I think he is a pretty underrated guard in this league. A lot of people talked about him as being a backup when he was brought here to DC from after playing for the Atlanta Falcons, but I think he showed out last year, and he was a very good player at the left guard position. I think him with Flowers, at least for this year, provides great depth. Next year, though, once Sharp is likely gone, I mean, are you going to put one of them at right guard, one of them at left guard, and just roll with it? I don't know. I'm not too confident in the offensive line.
No, I see, but I am. I like I said, I think that you get the best teacher is experience, right? And a lot of these guys, they were really they didn't even get to go on the training. They didn't even get to go on the training yard last year. They were shooting a live ammo. That's the only that was their first diving into the pool. You dove into the deep end. You did not go into the kiddie section there, and that's what happened. I think that you're going to see these guys kind of mature a little bit more, like especially them last 2 that AM Hunter talked about. So, and I think our line is underrated. Charles Leno is pretty good. Like somebody made a comment on my video yesterday about Olivia said something about us having a great offense line. I think she's right. I think the line. Hold on. Charles Leno stays healthy. It was a Pro Bowler, right? You have a great problem at left guard. Eric Flowers, Wes Schweitzer, Sadiq have the top has a top 3 center in Chase Roulier. We have
underrated center.
Any top 3 Pro Football Focus. Shout out to the analytics guys. We've got
hold on. Pro Football Focus. I was gonna wait until the end of your comments, but since you brought up that publication, I thought it was blasphemy that they put the Washington football team's offensive line. They ranked them as number 3, I believe. Largely because of the fact that they ranked them ahead of like the Browns offensive line, which I think is arguably the best in the league. I think the Saints were above Washington, if I'm not mistaken. But I mean, there's some good offensive lines in this league, and Washington's offensive line, if we're gonna be honest, they weren't consistent throughout the entire season. No. I mean, especially when Alex Smith was playing, and even our good old boy Dwayne Haskins was playing as well. I mean, I don't know. Number 3 in the entire league, Corey, you cannot tell me that's like a little too high for our team. Like maybe top 10.
I say this because it's kind of like what I told you before. Ye of little faith, Nadi. I've told you this before. It's okay to believe.
Number 3, Corey,
dude.
I mean, the Browns.
Right.
Do we not know how great the Browns' offensive line was last year and how it looks going forward? Like,
let me ask you this. Would you have a different opinion at 3 spot if we had one consistent quarterback? Like, say Alex Smith was behind there. Would you have a different this offensive line was able to win and get in position to win the division with 4 quarterbacks.
The defense was.
The offensive line too, brother. Like the offensive, I get the defense. I get what you're saying about the defense. But the offensive line, dude, they opened up holes. They made Peyton Barber look good at times, right? And probably some of the arguments that we had few times. Okay. And then our short yardage situation, right? But the one thing to knock on this offense wasn't really the line, it was the lack of running. Right or wrong? That's what it was. Yeah. But when we ran the
receiver too.
Right, when we ran the ball, we were pretty decent. And that's to my point. Like it might be a little high, maybe 5, because I like 5. And I got 5 on it all the time. But I'm okay with it because I said this before. People asked about success on Edge channel, right? And they were saying like, well, what does this bother you? I said, no. I said, it don't bother me, because you can't be underdog. If you want to be the big dog, you can't be the underdog forever. You are going to be the big dog eventually. So you got to act like it. Now you see that ranking right there. You should already know that you are capable of that. Go out there and show everybody that. Make them show you why you're not number one. That's my thought. And that's my thought process, because we're going to have to turn the blinders on and say bump everything else and just focus on the craft of football.
But if we're talking about running the ball and even like pass protect, again, I'm going to keep bringing them up because I saw a couple of Browns games last year. And even when they played us, the Browns off Jedrick Wills, JC Treader, Jack Conklin, right tackle, but Batonio, if I'm not mistaken, their interior offensive line is arguably the best in the league. But then you have Jedrick Wills, rookie left tackle from last year, played really well, and then you have Jack Hogg. I just think they're better.
How many all pros did they have on that offensive line?
Oh, so now we're considering all pros now.
I'm just asking you how many. I mean, your big argument, like you're shooting yourself in the foot.
Okay, well, we have one all pro. But I would say Brandon Sharp is better than any of their offensive linemen.
Okay.
But in terms of our other offensive linemen from the 2020 season, you cannot tell me that any of them were better than the Browns offensive line. So I think that sort of like, you get what I'm trying to say? Yeah, like I think the Browns offensive line collectively better unit than our offensive line.
The combination of Lucas, Schweitzer, Roulier, Sheriff, and Moses, that was the optimal one. And I say now they're talking about the tie. I haven't seen the ranking yet. They're talking about coming into this year, correct? They're talking about
coming into this year.
Yeah, and I think Leno is an upgrade from Lucas. Who did Cornelius Lucas back up in Chicago? Wow. Let's call John.
But
John
on the saying, okay, you're slick here though, Corey. When you say upgrade, like, yes, upgrade. But if we're gonna be honest, Leno wasn't great over the last couple of years. Yes, he got a Pro Bowl a couple years ago, but like that was a couple of years ago. Last year he wasn't too great. A lot of Bears fans were complaining about him, although they were doing the same thing about Lucas. That's besides the point. He wasn't really solid last year. I do get that it's an upgrade, but it's not a massive upgrade.
You need, and I'm going to tell you this too, Nati, over the last few years, who's had one of the best offensive lines, basically, Dallas has, right? What has that gotten them? You don't need
the last couple of years.
I mean, but
they've been injured.
Probably about 2014 on, about 17.
Yeah,
I mean, they just like, you don't need great. Great is a luxury with an offensive line. But great, honestly, is a luxury. And let me just paint the picture for you, because you can have, because it goes back to cohesion, how all five of those guys work together. So you can have all pros on there, but if these guys don't work well together, it doesn't matter. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can have average, slightly above average, especially guards. I think you can have it there. Left tackle's probably the most time. Is probably the pivotal thing. You can't have no dud there. But if you can have somebody that's slightly above average, you can win. You definitely can win. Ain't no lie to it.
I will say this though, because you said you brought up the Cowboys offensive line. I mean, it did matter though, because they were winning games. They were 13-3 in one season. They won, I think, a playoff game or two, if I'm not mistaken. They were always really good in the regular season, but the defense was atrocious. So when you consider that, I think their offensive line, having a great offensive line, is not a luxury, but like it's also going to help you. It's going to lead you to a lot of wins. I mean, we saw that with the Browns last year. Look at how amazing of a season they had last year when they had arguably the best offensive line in the league. But obviously, they had two great runners behind them. Right. But, I mean, you need guys to open up holes, and you need guys to just bowl people, and the Browns offensive line did that.
But you've got to sprinkle it in. That's to my point. You can't put all your eggs in one basket and say go with it, right? You know, you had Des Bryant, that Cowboys team. I'm getting sick talking about Dallas, but they had Jason Witten, who was still serviceable at his time, the tail of his career. Also, they had homeboy Des Bryant, so they had some talent, but the talent wasn't spring. And a lot of these guys were just on their first contract and everything. So that's what
we were just talking about that, Tim.
Yeah, we were just talking about that.
Yeah, I disagree.
He got power back. He got power back. He didn't have power earlier.
Yeah. I mean, storms might come in soon. The Nats game might be rained out, like you said earlier. But I just talked about it. I disagree. I mean, you could not. There's just no way, and that you can rank the Washington offensive line higher than the Browns offensive line based off what we saw last year, and also you have to consider the progression of Jedrick Wills this year going into his second season.
I got you. I totally get that, but I just think it's. I look at Ron Rivera in Carolina, right? Like they had good linemen, but there wasn't like a guy that you would say, "Oh, this guy is top. This guy is a top at his position. It is the best." You see what I'm saying? Like we can't really they had oh God, what's the old boy that played at USC? I can't think of what his name is. You know who I'm thinking about. He had a brother that played Khalil. Yeah, Khalil was probably one of the better ones on that team. So that's where I'm getting at right there, is that I get that you want greatness. What is Corey doing? Is he mad? Man, I'm always mad. I'm always happy. I'm happy.
Happy mad.
I'm happy like Pat. I'm happy like Pat Beverly. So
oh no. Speaking of CP3, so proud of you, bro. This man's finally making an NBA Finals after 16 seasons. I'm so happy for CP3. I know this is unrelated to what we're talking about, but since you brought up Pat Bev, I had to bring that in. Anyway, keep going.
You can cash in them State Farm checks now. Cliff Paul's coming to the finals. But that's my point in a roundabout way. And I know it sounds crazy when I talk about it. I think that, like I say, I think cohesion is key. And I believe that I think some of the best players can be brought up by some of the worst players on the line. But I think Washington can do it, man. I really do. I think that this could be a top 3 line. But if Scott Turner will run the football, I think that a little bit more. I think this could be a top 3 line. Give us some respect. It's okay to. I tell you this I told you this last year.
I'm not saying we shouldn't get respect. I just said we're top 10 offensive line, but we're not number 3. Too high.
Top 5. Top 5.
We can't say we're top 3. You know what they brought up in their reasoning? They also brought up Cosme. We haven't seen anything from Cosme yet. So how can you say that right now, going into the season, we're a top 3 offensive line and bring up Cosme when he's a rookie player we haven't seen at all? We haven't even seen really like highlights from rookie minicamp or OTAs. We haven't really seen much from him, to be honest. You cannot tell me that we're a number 3 offensive line and then use that as justification for that number 3 ranking.
I told you I didn't look. See now, and I agree. No, I agree with you now. I do. I agree with you because I didn't know Cosme was mentioned in that. I really didn't. So I gotta go read. I gotta read this thing. I heard about it. I haven't read it yet.
Yeah. So I'm surprised by this is unrelated too, but I'm surprised by the number of like free articles from like PFF because like I think their rankings of each position group was all free, like their articles and stuff. So I was kind of surprised by that.
Was it was it PFF or was it Pro Football Network?
PFF.
PFF. Oh, okay.
Yeah,
we were ranked top 6 on PFF last season. Okay. Well,
3 though. I mean, you're telling me there's only 2 better offensive lines in the entire league.
You got, hey man, it's okay. Nati, I'm telling you, brother.
Based off what you saw last year, and obviously accounting for
that line, that doggone line won the NFC East as terrible it was with 4 quarterbacks. Excuse me. They won with
the defense and Terry and AGG.
Yeah, they won with 4 quarterbacks. They won with Strip Club Simba, One-Legged Alex, Kyle, well, they won 3 quarterbacks. They started 3 quarterbacks, right? And Kyle, I broke my leg, Allen. And so so at the end of the day, 3 quarterbacks and 4 good legs. Come on now. And Heine did his thing too. So
yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Although he was scrambling a lot, his highlight was actually him ducking a couple of pass rushers because they got loose by that offensive line. So I don't know if that necessarily makes your argument there, but
there you go.
We'll move on.
Like, dude, you got.
If we're gonna be honest,
I know, but still, you got to break. We got to break the cycle, Nati. Come on now, brother. We got to break the cycle.
Okay. I get where you're coming from. I'll just say that. Sparkle. Oh my gosh.
He's Dollar Wayne, y'all. That's what he is.
I think that's the funniest one. Dollar Wayne.
Dollar Wayne, y'all.
all I'm gonna say is he better not dump $100,000 into the ocean. That's all I'm gonna say about Dwayne Haskins. If he does that, man, that's another level of I don't know, stupidity.
Some people don't deserve to have money.
Sense. Yeah. But I do want to. It's kind of funny. I mean, you guys saw the thumbnail of the video. We're 40 minutes into the stream. We haven't talked about the biggest news of the day. Do want to get to this topic right before short take here, Corey. Thoughts on the Wizards head coaching search? Do you think that at this point Sam Cassell is the guy, or do you think potentially Wes Unseld, who I think is the leading contender for the Magic job, if I'm not mistaken, or someone else might be the right person for the job?
It's gonna be somebody we never heard of, aka Chris Fleming. If it's not, it's stupid that it'd be. If it's not Sam Cassell, it makes no sense. But for the fact that I like Becky Hammond too, the fact that Tommy Shepard took 2 weeks to not fire Scott Brooks, but let him walk is absolutely deplorable. He should lose his job on that merit alone. Until Tommy Shepard is gone, this team will not be good because you still got that air of Ernie Grunfeld. That's exactly what that is. Like we sit here and he had the audacity to say, "Well, we're going to do 2 weeks. We're going to do a press conference with Scott." Tommy, buddy, you know that Scott needs to be gone. And then they said, "Oh, they were talking about contract extension." Are you kidding me, Nati? I know you told me to be short, but still, like that made no sense. That is reckless. That is reckless, and that is a fireable offense. You need to go call the Penguin. I mean, Ted Leonsis, and like somebody needs to check on him because it makes no sense that Tommy Shepard should be making basketball decisions.
Speaking of Ted Leonsis, how could an owner who owns both the Cavs and Wizards, right? How can the Cavs be such a well-run organization, and then you move over to the Wizards, and they've been, to use your word, deplorable over the last almost 2 decades? It doesn't make sense to me. Same owner, same guy, leading the entire organization, but 2 different orgs.
I mean, but still, at the end of the day, though, Nati, how well run were they? They brought in
the Cavs.
I mean, when I think about that, hold on now. Let me. This is Corey logic. Now you got to make it. How many head coaches did we have through this great tenure? Right. I couldn't get it. You started out with Glenn Hanlon. You had Boudreaux. You had to bring Dale Hunter in there. Adam Weedy and Oates came in there. He was fired after a while, and then you finally decided. And what did a lot of these guys have in common? It was their first time coaching in the NFL, and by this time, Ovechkin and them were already they were seasoned veterans by this time. Oh, now we're gonna bring in somebody like Barry Trotz to make the move, a veteran coach. And you see what it does. And Barry Trotz was pretty much fired before the playoffs. That's what a lot of people didn't realize.
I'll say this.
Yeah.
When I say well run, I guess my definition is different than a lot of people.
Right.
Well run, for me largely means winning all the time. If you're having success, and obviously not having like a bunch of off the field drama, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if you combine the little off the field drama with the winning consistently year in and year out, that makes, for me, that's a well-run organization.
I hear you.
Obviously, you can have stuff behind closed doors when it comes to management and stuff, and firing a coach after a championship, like Tim brought up. But at the same time, I mean, you could say the same thing about the Nats as well with their before Davey. You know, how many managers did they fire? And I think they're a well-run organization as well, because they do win a lot of games typically, and they just came off a World Series championship in 2019. So that's what I consider to be a well-run organization. Just those type of folks.
Yeah, I get that. I think well ran. I think it extends more than just winning, to be honest with you. I think you can have organizations that are ran terribly that find ways to win. You look at Tampa Bay, right? They won a championship with Tom Brady. You bring Tom Brady in there. The Glazers, they're popular for not being the best of owners. You look at the Dodgers in some sense. Now the New York Yankees, I mean, they were winning. Now the Yankees were a well-run organization when George was alive, although he was a jerk. But I think there's a difference between winning organizations and well-ran organizations. Now I think the Patriots, well-ran organization. I think from top to bottom. That I think that besides the cheating thing, so that might not be it either. So, but
what about the Steelers?
Oh,
I feel like we might diverge on this one. Or maybe not.
I think so, because of consistency. Only 3 coaches in like 40 some years. I think that is well ran. I think they've ran into a little bit of a buzzsaw as of lately, but I think that Mike Tomlin is a great head coach, and I think that's a well-ran organization. I think Kansas City is a well-ran organization, even though they really hadn't won for a while. I think they were ran. They just need to get the right pieces in place, right? So you can have well-run organizations, but the winning might not be there all the time. So, yeah.
I want to shout out Hawk for joining. What's up, bro? Thank you for joining the stream. You joined right at pretty much the perfect time, because we're actually going to talk about the news of the day pertaining to this Watson football team. And I'm not even going to ask a question. Corey, what are your thoughts on everything?
Was that?
Hold on one second. There you go.
Slap on the wrist. This is comical, Nati. The fact that it took you pretty much 18 months. And you're a lawman. What's the one thing y'all do? Y'all record things. Write down. You got to do a lot of papers, right?
Yep.
You mean to tell me after 18 months, a series? They said a series of oral report. I'm sorry, I didn't know this was Shakespeare in the Park. I didn't know this was Eddie Murphy Raw. I didn't know this was Dave Chappelle. I didn't know any of this. I mean, take me to the 6 o'clock news has teleprompters. You go buy a car, Nati. You got to have paper. You go to the gas station and buy bubble gum. Bubble gum. You get a receipt. You mean to tell me after all this time, you don't have a written report? That means that, guess what? What's hiding behind? Let's make a deal. Go ahead and call them out. We're going to make a deal. What's hiding behind door number NFL? Number 1, the shield is, I mean, dude, you can't, like, this is ridiculous. I mean, and then, the Tanya Snyder thing. Like, I honestly, Pete Haley showed on Twitter, he had the 10-point plan for recovery, the 10 steps to recovery for the Washington football team. And I thought that they've known about this for a while. Why of all time? This is pretty much Friday. It's not Thursday. This is Friday, because most people ain't gonna be there to talk about it. Like you're prominent. Like I listened to Team 980. all the time. Travis Thompson's not going to be there tomorrow. Some other people aren't going to be there tomorrow. Maybe Kevin Sheen might not be there. So you're going to bring in, you're going to bring up your holiday crew. And you're going to talk about this then? The NFL knew what they were doing. They've been doing this for a while because I'm pretty sure Tanya Snyder has been the COO or CEO since her name started getting added to the press releases, and that's been almost a year. It's a slap on the wrist, I think. But and then if you want to play devil's advocate, they've spent more than $10 million from the name change to getting new people in there, from firing people, probably severages, research, maybe paying Beth Wilkinson. I think that's a combination. So it's more than $10 million. But at the end of the day, it's. I mean, NFL is. I can't blame Washington for any of this because, for
they didn't make the punishment,
right? Yeah. It's like, we all grow up, right? And when we're in school, right, we get in trouble, right? And we say, well, we accept the situations of I should not have been drinking underage, right? And not that you would ever do anything like that, Nati. But I'm saying, but like you said, I accept the full force of the punishment. Oh God, I really hope we get off easy on this. I know this is my third violation. Oh God, but people didn't know this for the longest time. Oh God, oh Lord, I just got to pay $50. Oh, thank you, Jesus. That's basically what that is. That's basically what that was, man. I yield back to you, though, but dude, you got.
I don't have much to add, Corey. I mean, you brought up everything. Multi-billion-dollar organization, $10 million fine. Definitely a slap on the wrist. I will say this. I mean, this is kind of. I think us fans are all feeling this. Kind of selfish for us to feel this way because there's a lot of stuff that happened with the Washington football team over the last couple of years that deserves criticism and stuff. But I will say this. I'm just glad that we didn't lose a draft pick. That was like my biggest concern because I thought, are you really going to criticize, this team moving forward and their roster sort of management, for what has happened in the past? I think that would have just like limited, the impact that this new culture is sort of like bringing. So I'm just happy we didn't lose a draft pick. I thought the fine should have been much more. And I thought that, Dan Snyder is pretty much like suspended, right? Like he's suspended without being, day-to-day duties of the team being handed over to Tanya Snyder. Sure, he's still handling like the stadium sort of like situation and figuring all that out. But I do agree with you at the end of the day. Slap on the wrist, $10 million, multi-billion-dollar organization. And like Tim said here, and like we talked about off camera, Mitch brought up as well on Twitter. $100 fine if you're making $26,000 a year. I think it was $285 if you're making what did Mitch say? $100,000 if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, it'd be like a $280 fine or something like that. So and I'm like, I think if you're a fan of this team, you can't help but have mixed emotions for that. I don't think you can feel overly happy. I don't think you can be upset too much. I think you can be upset, but I think we're all at the end of the middle because, like, one of the guys that I know, he said on Medhurst and Pete Medhurst show and Chris Russell show, he said, I root for this team. I don't root for this owner. And it's kind of interesting, though, that, a lot of fans really, our mindset really would support the owner in most parts. Not really play. Why does somebody want that much money? That's what I'm saying, right? That's what the owner said. Why does he want to take more money? We can bring somebody else in. But it's it's a joke. I think that Dan Snyder has hid behind press releases, other people. I said this before. I'm not going to say it this time. I'm not going to say it. I was going to make a bad joke, but he has hid behind human paper shields, and he has not he has not shown his, like somebody said, he needs to go out there and be uncomfortable. He's uncomfortable talking to people. I said, so he may be uncomfortable, right? But what about these women who were abused, harassed, during the, like, you think about Rhiannon Walker when she dealt with Eric Santos, right? And how he made her feel in Indianapolis during the combine. And she didn't want to talk about it because she was so embarrassed, like she had did something wrong. And that, I mean, you don't think she feels uncomfortable? Did she have to write then she wrote an article in The Athletic about it to bring up those demons?
Pinned it on our Twitter.
And you can't get up and talk and get drilled by the media? You got to be kidding me, man. It's crazy, man. It's just, I just, dude, as like some of the Karens would say where I'm from, I'm so mad I could spit.
Corey, only you could end your commentary there with the Karen line. But yeah, man, I'm gonna get to Uriah's questions. Probably waited patiently for us to respond, but Dan Snyder has to sell the team, and that's not going to happen anytime soon. So
that ain't happening. It just, I mean, honestly, this team ain't been right since the salary cap era. It ain't been right since then. Since after the 92 season.
Mm-hmm.
It's just for the most part. So yeah.
I will say this, a great model for what Washington can become, even with Snyder as the owner, arguably one of the worst owners in sports. A great model, and I don't think enough people are talking about this. The Phoenix Suns and what they're doing right now, great model. I have a friend from college who is a diehard Phoenix Suns fan. Before this season, he talked a lot about how Suns hate Sarver, the owner. And I don't know if you guys heard the it wasn't really a press conference, but his remarks after they won last night. You could hear boos in the crowd, even after they just basically clinched the spot in the NBA Finals. They hate Sarver. And Sarver, like, objectively, is also one of the worst owners in sports. The Suns were still able to get into the NBA Finals. They were still able to find winning success. They just, like you said earlier, with some other teams in the NFL, they needed to find the right pieces, and ultimately came together. Chris Paul is Chris Paul. Now they're in the NBA Finals. I think Washington, again, it's a great model for Washington, having a terrible owner, but having great pieces in the front office, right? With the Suns, they had James Jones. They also had one of the best coaches in the league, and Monty Williams. I mean, you could say sort of the same thing with us here in DC. Obviously, it's a different sport, but still, same thing. I think we can find winning success. We can win a Super Bowl even with Dan Snyder at the helm. I don't know if you disagree with that statement, but that's my 2 cents.
I agree 110% with that. I think that it's possible. I mean, shoot, when Jim Irsay's won a Super Bowl, and he was probably snorting pills up in there when Peyton Manning won that Super Bowl for him. So I don't think that there's a that wasn't petty. Was that petty? I'm sorry. That's a serious issue that Mr. Irsay has. I'm very sorry that I made that joke. But either way, I mean, but you see what I'm saying though? You can have trouble at the top, but it's you got to put. I don't care if you got a demon in the upper room. Leave him in the basement. Just leave him up there. Leave him up in the cellar, wherever it is, and just shake a few hands, kiss a few babies, and go back up. We shouldn't have to worry about seeing it, but I hope Dan understands where he's went wrong over 20 years. Now, the only person knows that man's heart is him. So I hope he's understood this. The money that he's probably had to spend to buy out people, to bring in new people, to do all these.
What is the value of this organization now?
Yeah, I know, right?
It's just it just went over the last year and a half.
Yeah, he's I mean, a name change. I think a lot of this And kind of the NFL made an interesting point too, Nati, that they started this like right after the 2019 season. So it's like they knew that was coming. Now, I don't know if it was a quiet storm because, everything that happened in June of last year, and then it just, right? So I don't know, but I hope the only thing you can do is hope that Dan Snyder has just let football, kind of like what Tim said, do football things. I like what Ron's doing. This stuff does not change overnight. And I will say this, like I said, with the name thing. We have rushed everything over the last 20 years. We've tried to buy championships. Some of y'all don't remember the 2000 Washington Redskins. I remember them. Some of you don't remember the 2006 Washington Redskins when they had Adam Archuleta and they paid him a whole bunch of money that he stole. And Brandon Lloyd coming over there. Antoine Randall can't field a punt. We stole. They stole money. Albert Haynes were big. Big fat Albert looking Jabba the Hutt.
I'm glad he's doing well though. Flubber. I don't know if you heard about what happened. Like I think he had like
Nati, don't get me comment on that man's current health condition. Fat
was it like kidney transplant?
Fat Jabba the Hutt, evil, angry, blamed everybody stomping on people's head. That bum. I'm glad he's doing well, but they stole my, and they thought they could swing for the fences, and it didn't happen. Cohesion, right? That's been the word of the day. Cohesion. You have to develop things, and I do think partially, Dan started learning probably about 2010. He started learning that maybe you just can't throw money at your problems. You can't throw money at your problems. You've got to get it. You've got to make smart investments. Now, sometimes you can splash. Sometimes you can't splash. Thought that was going to work with 24 Norman, but it didn't work. But that was the only splash that we've really had free agent wise since Hainsworth. Because I don't even think
it wasn't
Garcon wasn't one. Yeah. Garcon really wasn't a splash.
Yeah, Deshaun wasn't one either. I mean, $8 million a year.
Yeah, that's not. Yeah, for a receiver that was really in his prime, you're absolutely right, man.
Yeah, I don't know, man. Dan Snyder. I mean, he's made the right moves, bringing in Ron Rivera, obviously, Jason Wright, obviously, Julie Donaldson with the media. It seems like he's making the right moves. I think the Suns, I'll say this again, I think the Phoenix Suns provide a great model for what Washington can become if we bring everything together on the field and make sure that the drama stays off the field, I guess, and proceed from there. But I will say this. Shout out to Roger Smith for joining. RG3, I mean, that was just trade. Yeah, that's different. That's not like you said, spending millions of dollars to sort of like fix your problems. But go ahead.
That goes back to kind of what Tim said about trusting football people to do football things. It's the same thing with Dwayne Haskins, right? Washington, RG3 technically really, I mean, if we really want to pull this back a little bit, he really wasn't a splash. Because if he doesn't get hurt, and it's big ifs, because if ands and buts were candy and nuts, we'd all have Merry Christmas, right? But it really wasn't, because they were 10-6. They thought, but that leg injury against Baltimore, that did him in. And then Seattle, that messed his career up. And he never was able to rebound from that.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it was a splash, because you didn't get the maximum return on investment, but you did. You had your first playoff appearance in 5 years, first division championship in, what was it? Good God. It was like 12 years or something.
Yeah. I don't think any stream, any channel is talking about this sport that's going on right now, but I don't know if you have thoughts on it. this was brought up in the comment section. And I was like, I don't know if I wanted to like totally ignore it or not. Oh, I'm sorry, not this comment. This comment right here. With regards to the real football, yes, I'm saying the real football. Everybody in the chat was talking about how it's rugby and or not rugby, how it's FUTBOL. No, around the world, if you go to Europe, Tim, FOOTBALL. That's how they spell it. If you go to Europe, if you go to Britain, if you go to that's how they spell it. Anyways, that's besides the point. I don't know if you have a take on this, or not even really on this question, but I don't know if you've gotten to see any of the Euro games that have been going on, or
I heard about some of them.
Yeah.
I heard that what was it? Switzerland had a big upset.
Against France, yeah.
Against France, and I was actually talking to some of my buddies because I don't watch soccer, but they were like, they said France is very political on their team, and they can either score a lot of goals or they can screw around and get beat. Guess what? They screwed around and got beat. So, yeah, I think soccer it's a great international game. I prefer my low scoring with on ice and people hitting each other with a lot of pads and speed and skates. But I don't know who. I guess is Messi the best player? It's all I can't even pronounce some of these. Some of these are like keyboard and
Ibrahimovic, Lewandowski,
Mbappe, Neymar.
He was from France. He was the guy who missed the free kick at the end that ultimately lost him the game.
Robert Lewandowski and Zoltan. Yeah. Let's see if I can get this right. I feel like Charles Barkley.
You play in the U.S.
Yeah, Zoltan Makovic, or what? He looks like he should be shooting 3-point. It looks like this dude looks like he could be the next draft pick for the Washington Wizards, man.
Oh, another European star in the making. Ibrahimovic.
Yeah, that's what that is. Ibrahimovic. Yeah. Ibrahimovic.
Yeah. Yep.
Or Ibrahimovic.
He goes by Ibra. Yeah.
Zoltan Ibrahimovic. Yeah. Ibrahimovic. Man, that dude sounds like, oh my gosh, that guy. That sounds like he should be playing. He should be playing in the NBA. That's all I'm saying. Like from
like the Bogdanovich.
Yeah, Bogdanovich and Ibrahimovic from downtown. Yes, you hear Marv Albert say, "Oh, he just took or he might be like he might be some like 6'9" center or something with the jam." Ibrahimovic, like Zydrunas Ilgauskas.
Oh my gosh, to make it easier though to answer like the question, my opinion, Ronaldo. I've been a huge Ronaldo fan for a long time. I think Ronaldo is better at this point. He only trumps Messi in the sense that he's won an international championship, which Messi hasn't done in his career for how great he is. So that's your answer there. I do want to say this though, and this is completely off the topic of actual like football or actual soccer, but just like contracts wise. I saw yesterday, and I told my dad earlier today, I was shocked when I saw this number. Messi in his last contract, over 4 years, made $648 million from salary, just salary. Mm-hmm. We all know endorsement money is through the roof, right, for international players, but it's just crazy because we always complain about like football players and basketball players here in this country making 20, 25, 30, $35 million a year, but like that's chump change when you compare to international players.
Yeah, that's true. Like you got them on loan and everything. So I never got that.
Yeah. Like, buying players.
Like what is this? Is this fantasy? Like league manager and all this stuff. You know what really ticks me off about soccer, right?
What?
Out of all the sports, football, what just sets me off more than anything is the home team goes first on the scoreboard and the away team is the second. So it like destroys all the rules of any other sport that I know. And I'm just like, oh God. And I look up there and I think I was watching Columbus and FC Austin. So I was watching Columbus Crew, and I was just like, oh, they're not in Columbus, they're actually in Austin. Oh, okay, I didn't know this because it said, but what you say, like everybody else is on the metric system, and then we've got we've got our thing. So it's what it
America
is.
wanting to be America, pretty much. Just want to be
God bless
unique.
us. God
Oh
bless us, everybody, everywhere.
Yeah. So I see. Yeah, see another comment about the Wizards. Man, speaking of franchises that are doomed, man. If we're comparing the four major sports franchises here in DC, right? The Caps, Washington football team, the Nationals, the Wizards. I mean, I would say the Wizards are probably at the bottom. Not probably, they definitely are at the bottom at this point, right? If we consider just like moving forward and their potential success. And then maybe the Nats at top or the Caps. Which one of those two teams would you have at top?
Oh, I think it's a toss up between them two because I think the Capitals are about at that point where it's time to blow them up.
Yeah, your point earlier.
It's true. I think that the Capitals are about at that point where they may blow it up here in the next couple of years. Just because Ovi's getting to be is up there in age, and so is Backstrom.
They might re-sign him though.
I think they need to. That's no doubt about that. So I would think maybe the Caps, the Nationals too, man. If you think about it, like that starting pitching is old. Our starting pitchers are old. Scherzer, Strasburg's in his 30s now. You got old
Joe
man
Ross is playing well though.
Finally. You gonna come?
I mean, he showed a good good performance during the World Series run, but
you gonna come with me with Joe Ross?
I'm just saying he's playing better this year. That's all I'm saying. You brought up old guys in the pitching staff. I'm just
not to saying. Don't do that. Don't bring up Joe Terrible Ross. I don't. So I mean, right there, I think it's like they're right there. I think for the longest time, Washington is the most. It could possibly be. It has the most potential. The football team has the most potential to be the best out of the four. Now, if we're talking for real, like all sports teams, probably it'd be like the DC Divas up there, the Washington Spirit, the Gallaudet University football team.
The Defenders before they
the Defenders the Defenders were there, the now defunct Washington Valor, who have the most recent football championship in the nation's capital. I think some Catholic prep school in there might win another championship or something before any of these teams do, but I don't know. The congressional Congress All-Star game. They're going to be that like Maxine Waters is going to hit a home run or something, and I don't. And Marjorie Taylor Greene, she's going to charge a mound or something like that. Who knows? Matt Gaetz might be up there. So it is what it is. But those are the winners.
Oh boy. Okay. You hit a lot of points there.
The Mystics too. The Mystics could beat the Wizards. They could.
Don't count the Mystics out. Yeah.
If Deladon stops being Elena Steven Strasburg, I think we'd be all right.
No. Yeah. Just something with injured stars here in DC, man. I feel like it runs in there's something in the Potomac River that just screws these athletes up and keeps them injury prone over the course of their careers. But right now, this might be a hot take.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going with the Nats, number one. I think they won the World Series in 2019.
Right.
And I think last year, maybe this might be another hot take, if they played a longer season, I think they would have also had a pretty stellar turnaround for the team. And I think they would have found a way to win some games towards the end of the season. Well, obviously, they only played 60 games last year. It wasn't really good. But I don't know. It's just something about the Nats, man. We're talking about well-run organizations, right? Obviously, you got the learners who are as cheap as they come.
Mm-hmm.
But Mike Rizzo, there's just something about him. He goes and finds guys who, and this is why one of the reasons why I tagged you on the tweet earlier today about Kyle Schwarber being a under the radar MVP candidate in the NL right now. Cubs fans hated Kyle Schwarber. Or I'm not going to generalize the entire fan base, but there were some Cubs fans, and we know one of them, who did not like Kyle Schwarber and thought he was absolutely done for. And Mike Rizzo just finds a way with these guys, just off the scrap heap, brings them here in DC, teaches them what culture looks like. And ultimately, they have one of, if not their best seasons in their entire career. Like that's usually how it works here in DC. And I think Mike Rizzo is the guy that's sort of instilled that culture here. And I think because of that, I'm taking the Nats over the Caps at this point. I know that might be a hot take, but I think the Nats have a higher chance of getting over the hump and winning a World Series over the next 2 or 3 years than the Caps do with the Stanley Cup. I just think.
I don't think that's a hot take. Yeah, I don't think that's hot though. I think that in actuality, what we've seen out of the Capitals in the last few playoff runs is they can't get out of their own way. They look old. They look slow. Is it
fair to say that 2018? I mean, I hate to say this because that's our team, but like, kind of fluky. Like when you consider the Caps postseason fortunes over the last decade plus.
It wasn't fluky. I see where you come from. I will not say that was fluky because of what they had to do in that Eastern Conference final.
That's fair. That's fair.
That is in the way they shut out one of the high-powered offenses over 2 games, 2 elimination games. Let's get it right. So
let me say this. I'm sorry for any fan that I offended when I said that. Let me say this. Let me rephrase. Not necessarily fluky, because I know there's definitely a negative connotation with that, but sort of like an aberration from the norm when it comes to this Washington Capitals team. And like that aberration is likely not going to come around for, I don't know, another decade plus. Like that's sort of my mentality. Like that 2018 run, that's one of the reasons why it was so special. Like how many years outside that 2018 run have the Caps underperformed in the playoffs? They've been a top seed. They've won a bunch of games, but ultimately when it came down to it, it didn't matter. A lot of the times they couldn't even get past the first round. Like, I feel like that happens more with the Caps than the Nats. But
because the Caps have been there more often. Because they went on a streak. You think of since 2008. From now, they've only missed the playoffs once. And that was in 2013. That was in the 2013 or 2014 season. You look at this too, Nati, a couple of times in the second round, they lost a lot of game sevens. And sometimes game sevens are toss-ups. I mean, sometimes they get blown out. I mean, you think about Montreal. And when we lost to Montreal and Halak was their goalie, and that was they got out to a 2-0 lead in that game, and Washington could never come back. You look at Pittsburgh the year before we won the Cup, same thing. Washington just couldn't get over that hump. In the first round a couple years ago against the Hurricanes, we went 7 with them. A lot of these. The Rangers, a couple of times, we went 7 games with them. I think we won 7 games twice with them, and one in the first round and one in the second round. So there's been opportunities for this team to rise up and go for it. So I just think they finally got off the snide, and I think the reason why they got off the snide is they got a veteran. They finally had a veteran coach in Barry Trotz, who actually got the guys to compete. Who knew what it's like to be in the playoffs, even and build a program, because it's the thing that you have to do sometimes, build a program. And he built one 16 years in Nashville. He made the country capital of the world a ravaged dungeon of hockey faithful. I don't think you realize, and like I don't think people realize what that means. Nashville was great hockey environment when I went down there about 10, 11 years ago. Great. It'd been 10 years ago. And we went down there. Just saying.
Whew. We had the Wizards in a trade for Aaron Rodgers. If only I don't know about that, but you would?
I'd do it.
Oh God.
I told him, I said, I trade my grandma, one of my cousins, half my life savings.
Dwayne.
Yeah, I definitely trade Dwayne's ass. He's gone. He's gone somewhere. After that, you can clip that one off and send that to him. I trade him. He trade me for Dwayne. If they said Dwayne, if we trade Corey to Green Bay for Aaron Rodgers, and he said no, we can't be family no more, man. We can't be. We can't be. It's like we can't be because he knows good and hell well that this is. Don't get
Last
me started.
question.
Don't get me started, man. You got me.
Yeah, I know. I don't want to take too much more time out of your evening, Corey. So the last question that I have set up for us, I'm not going to go with the whole like future of the franchise because I feel like I've asked you that so many times. I'm going to go with the NFC East picture. Washington. Is it? Well, one, is Washington the best team in the NFC East right now? And two, because I feel like this is a separate question. You can correct me if I'm wrong. Will Washington win the division next year? Because you could be the best team, but obviously if you don't have the quarterback, right, like, you might fall flat. So what are your thoughts there?
I think Washington is the best team. And what I mean by team is I think from top to bottom, coaching,
roster,
defense, roster, outside of quarterback, I think they've got the most well-assembled roster. Now, the X factor in that, New York Giants, right? Team we haven't been able to beat.
Thank you.
The Dallas Cowboys, best quarterback in the division. And Dak Prescott, don't at me. Y'all know it's true. And then what in the world is going on in Philadelphia? We joke about Philly, but that's the type of team that could come up there. We'd be like, wait, they could be us from last year. Be like, where'd they come from? Right?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like, it's I think that they, I don't necessarily think they win the division. I don't. I really don't think they'll win the division because I think you're going to split with Dallas this year. You will. Let's just. I don't think we're going to sweep Dallas this year. That's just how I feel about it. I think that, especially where that backloaded schedule is. I don't think I don't know if we sweep Philly just because of how the schedule lands in December. That's how I feel. On that, I think you can steal one from New York this year. I think you can get. Washington has a great chance to go 2-0 to start this season now. I think it's the best opportunity that they've had to go to start 2-0 for a long time. Chargers and with the Giants, so at home. So no, bro. We'll
I
see.
Think Herbert's going to be absolute. Yeah, I think Herbert's going to be an absolute monster this year, though. So I think our defense definitely needs to step up in that one. But wasn't able to catch all your comments there. Wi-Fi issues on my end, but I will say this. I said this before and I'll say it again. I think Washington is ultimately going to have the same record as the Giants, go 9-8, but I think we'll have a tiebreaker and ultimately win the division. That's sort of been my thinking about this whole situation. I think the Cowboys 8-9, and then the Eagles, 6-7 wins, put them in that range, but that's sort of how I see the division playing out. I will say this though, completely unrelated. Gunner, Boston fan. I this is just one of the conversations that I have with my family all the time. Boston, you guys are so lucky. The Bruins, the Celtics, the Red Sox, like all of your teams are so good. Like to have even a taste of that success here in DC. We kind of got that with the Nets, kind of got that with the Cavs, but like with the football team, more specifically the Patriots as well. You didn't even mention them because you're a Boston football team fan, but like still, it's just crazy. Sorry, that was just unrelated, but had to respond to that.
Yeah, they got it good. The Packers and those championships. Go Sox. Heads running around somewhere over there probably, but
yeah. Corey, I appreciate you for coming on, bro. Once again,
appreciate you having me on here, man.
another great stream. And if you guys haven't checked him out already, his channel, make sure to do so. I put a link in the description as always. And
it sure is. You ain't lying. That's the worst accent ever. You are not lying. There's a story behind that I might have to tell one day.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. Oh Lord, that was that.
Yeah,
that is a terrible. That's a terrible accent if I've ever heard it. Ugh. Oh God, give me the heebie-jeebies.
At least you tried, right? That's all that matters. At least you tried.
No, I thought he said me doing the accent was bad. Oh, I thought he just said that was just bad, like in general. Okay, I got you now, Gunner. Oh, okay, yeah, that was pretty bad. But when you're trying to do a bad accent, it's gonna come out bad. So
yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Like I said, at least you tried. But with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. Please make sure to like, comment, subscribe to the DMB Sports Zone channel. We're trying to post fire content on here as much as possible. Make sure to also follow our Instagram page at DMB Sports Zone, all lowercase, and then our Twitter page at DMB Sports Zone as well. And I will say this to leave you guys off with a sort of a cliffhanger. There's some things happening on this channel soon to come. And I'm not talking about interviews or like special videos, but just like a little bit of a change when it comes to the format of this channel that I've sort of been thinking of, like even from the start of this whole journey a year ago. And I'm happy that it's going to start, going over the next couple of weeks and months. So just going to leave you guys with that. Thank you guys so much for watching. AM Hunter, Gunner, and Corey, we'll talk about this off camera. AM Hunter, Gunner, Roger Smith, Uria, Tim, everybody for joining. Appreciate the love as always. And with that being said, have a great rest of your night and a great July 4th weekend. Make sure to check out Corey's next video. Peace.